Hello, wonderful patrons. Connor Whitmore, your boy, back again with another video for you on the Nawtystep Patreon. Hope you're all doing well, very well indeed. Now, you will have seen that I uploaded to the main channel yesterday a full review for the Lost Lands 2023 lineup. Just thought I would hop on here just to make a quick video that is going to be going over what I think are going to be the absolute must-see sets over the course of the weekend. You know, did a full review on YouTube, just having a quick glance over, a quick float over the whole lineup, if you will. But here, just going to be going over 10 in the first tier that we have here, and 20 where there are a load more artists in the second tier. If you're going, then hoping they can just constitute as a couple of big recommendations from your boy, and if you're not, maybe I can, you know, try and sell them enough that it will make you want to go, basically. Without any further ado, let's just crack on with it, shall we? And the first artist that I want to put this little red oval over is Flux Pavilion with his Sunset set. Now, if you've watched my video on the main lineup coverage, the one that's on YouTube, you would have seen that I said that a sunset set could maybe imply that it's something a bit more chill, or it's something a bit more laid back music wise, which Flux Pavilion, as we know from the last couple of years, would very much be capable of. But apparently it absolutely doesn't mean that. It just means that he's playing at a certain time. It doesn't actually mean that he's playing more chill music or anything like that. But yeah, basically I think this will be a very good set. I think it will be a very important set for kind of announcing him back with heavier bass music, because that is very much what he's going to be doing going forward. So that's definitely going to be one to catch. Music that will be on his new album that will be coming out at some point, maybe later this year or early next year, I imagine. So yeah, definitely be looking out for that set. He is going to be returning in a heavy, bassy way very, very soon. The next artist after that, oh god, these are going to get a little bit overlapped, aren't they? We have Hole. I mean, Hole is an absolute must, I think, given the hype of country rhythm and his mix. Excuse me, bit of an amalgamation of all his IDs that are going to be coming out soon. Yeah, there's just a load of hype around this guy. I think the crowd is going to be wild. It was last year when he played last year, so if that's anything to go by, I think now it's just going to be even bigger. Now, this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky using these. I do still want to do it, but we've got 3 in a row here, because next up is Infect. Okay, it kind of works there. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. Basically, I think the Infect show was mile and away the most celebrated and the most kind of hyped up over the course of the weekend last year, and I said it in the main video yesterday that I dropped on the main channel. It's a massive regret of mine still that I wasn't able to go to it. I can't even remember exactly where I was at that point, but I wasn't there, that's for sure. And I just get the impression that he's going to want to level up on that, and people are going to be at that show anyway, that set, that gig, just because of how good it was last year, and they're going to see basically whether he will be able to level up on that in any way. Ivy Lab, fantastic duo, one of the best that has ever graced bass music. They make down-tempo music, all sorts of gloomy, mysterious, trappy music, you know, stuff verging on dubstep as well. But here we're going to get just D&B from Ivy Lab. They've also made a load of that in their discography, and this will just be a really lively set, I think. Not really maybe out there with the energy and the hype of the D&B itself, but it's going to have a real pull with the storytelling appeal and charm of it, like I said. So that would definitely be one to watch. A lot of clean music just on those incredible speakers that they have. And off the back of that, from one D&B set to another, next up I'm going to be talking about Cohen Sound, who, were they here last year? I can't quite remember, but I feel like they were. So making a return. This is going to be their second or third time here, but yeah, I think this would be different to anything they've done before at this festival. So it's going to be interesting how they set up, what kind of electronics and tech they're going to bring with them, any kind of instrumentation on show, or if it's just going to be a standard USBs right in the CDJs kind of set from them. They have some D&B in their locker, a lot of Neuro as well, so just imagine that we're going to get quite a riveting, quite a captivating set from the duo. And following that, someone who I bigged up quite a bit in the main video that I did, that is More Kismet. Extremely excited for this set and to potentially meet them as well if I'm going myself. Yeah, I just think the energy of this one is going to be completely off the chain, visually, sonically, and just offering, I think, something considerably different from what we're going to get pretty much across the rest of the lineup here. So more Kismet, extremely talented, a real variety to their music as well. So I think it's just going to be, like I said, a very energetic set, a very colourful set, a real overwhelming experience visually and sonically as a blend there. A debut for Omar for more as well at Lost Lands. So I feel like a couple of surprises will be sprung as well for people who are watching that set. It will be an absolute must watch, I think. And right next to more Kismet, we have Mr. Bill, who is another that I personally am very excited and looking forward to seeing, and who I think I will be recommending in a big way to anyone who is at the festival going or looking to go. Really interested basically just to see how the different genres are woven together, how the visuals might match the music, just how a story is told with his set over the course of it. For Lost Lands, does he go just for the heavier stuff, or does he just weave in loads of classically intricate and varied electronic styles within his hour or hour and a quarter, whatever he gets here? The quality of the sound is going to be insane. Hopefully the visuals reflect that as well. A definite must-see for me, in my opinion. Following that, we are going to be circling the Belgian drum and bass legend that is Netsky. Yep, absolutely love Netsky, love his music, have done so for a decade now. The reason that I'm circling him is because I imagine there'll be quite a few who haven't seen him before. Written some of the most iconic and euphoric tracks when it comes to the kind of pop and drum and bass crossover. He really is one of the legends within that scene of music, that particular kind of D&B. His sets are extremely euphoric and lively, thrilling, just a massive recommend. And I don't think he's broken the US maybe in quite the way that would allow him basically to have been seen by the majority of people who go to a festival like this one. If you're thinking of going and you haven't seen much D&B live, I think you're going to be hard pressed to find a more kind of captivating, scintillating D&B set, and one that is actually quite accessible as well. Fantastic vocals on show. So yeah, Netsky is a huge recommend from me. Penultimately, with tier 1, we are going to go for One True God, who is a bit of a house genius at the moment. He's right up there with the very best in my opinion. Very dark, brooding sound, quite menacing, quite evil, pensive, slow, ponderous house style that does bleed into mid-tempo, like I said, quite a bit. There's a lot of blending going on there between those styles. The vocals again are fantastic, and he really tells a story with his sets, and I'm pretty sure it's almost completely original stuff as well, so that really does allow him basically to tell that story with his sets, with his shows. And also we'll be playing the show, I think, off the back of releasing his new album, his debut album. And finally, for tier 1, we can look no further, in my opinion, than another drum and bass legend, that is Subfocus. Yeah, for many of the reasons I was recommending Netsky, I would recommend Subfocus as well. Big, thrilling drum and bass energy, fantastic vocals. I think the difference with Subfocus just being that the instrumentals are a little bit classier. With Netsky, I think it's a bit more about fun and kind of excitement, jubilance and all that kind of thing. It's very colourful and in your face with that, whereas Subfocus, the production's a little bit more stripped back. Again, just a bit classier, just a bit more refined. He really does nail the chemistry between vocal, melody, production, drop ideas, all that kind of thing. So yeah, again, if you're looking to get into a bit more drum and bass live in the live environment, and at that point in the festival you need something that is just, you know, constituting as a little bit of a break from the dubstep, from the heavy rhythm vibes, then Subfocus, absolutely check out his set, it will be sick. Okay, moving on into tier 2, and kicking that off we have Akeos, who is a big recommend from me just because of the amount of genres that she has attempted and kind of done over the few years that she has been in the mainstream of bass music. And she was doing the 4th edition of Lost Lands to my knowledge, and I wasn't able to see it, wasn't there that year, so this is one that I'm definitely going to be seeing myself. Then we have Autumn Hay, one of the best in the underground of dubstep, in my opinion, and just has to be done, basically. Really enjoyed his come up, his progression over the last few years within the underground of modern dubstep, different kinds of dubstep as well. So again, going to be a very heavy, but I think as well quite a varied set, quite a lot to choose from that have made him as big as he is over these years. So yeah, it should be a pretty riveting set. Following that, I'm going to be circling Butte Noise, because genuinely, what more can one say about this fantastic up-and-comer? Exceptional production, fantastic ideas, one of the most exciting styles in not just the underground of bass music, but in bass music overall. One of my favourite artists of the last few years, basically, that jungly, tribal, animalistic kind of theme. And yeah, I wonder just how much of the set is going to be his and how much is going to be other people's music. I imagine it will be a good mix, but you never know. It could be quite a high percentage of just Butte Noise material, and I think we're going to get quite a few cheeky IDs in there as well, so that will be fun. Probably in my top 5 or top 3, if I'm being honest, for the whole festival, looking at this lineup overall. Following that, we have one of the very best in bass music coming out of Australia. That is Chibs. Again, just one of my favourite producers from the last few years in bass music. One of the cheekiest, cutesiest, most fun and innovative styles within rhythm, within modern dubstep. And yeah, just a surprise that he has that it has been so long, before he's had this shot on this lineup. But that is what, that is what visa issues can do, coming over from Australia. I know that his set is just going to be completely fun and very jumpy and bouncy and all that good stuff. Then we are going to go for Chime, for the simple reason that I just want to see basically how his new album Etherborn, which came out a couple of weeks ago, plays out in a live environment over that kind of sound system, that kind of quality of sound system, and also visually how the story is going to be told over the course of his set. You could even maybe just play the album from start to finish, to be honest, because of how the tracks kind of bleed into one another on that LP. But no, I think he's going to spice it up a bit, and he's very good on the mic as well to back that up, that musical prowess, if you will. So yeah, very much looking forward to that one. Next up, definitely going to be shouting out Daggz right here, Daggz. Yeah, mentioned in the main video that's on the YouTube channel that he is just a bit of a mix, bit of a rounded mix of freeform stuff, of 140 dubstep stuff, deep dubstep kind of stuff, original dubstep stuff, really warm sound, really thick production. One of my favourite sets was Liney last year, who we're going to be talking about in a bit, but he played at the Asteroid stage, and it was just a fantastic stage for closing off the sounds that are maybe a little bit more quelled, not quite as out there and bombastic and large as a lot of the ones we get here, and really unleashing the depth and the texture of that sound. And I think he would be perfectly suited for that stage. I'd be surprised if that isn't where he's playing. So yeah, that's just going to be really good, really high quality, deep lying sound that kind of just gets under your skin. Production quality will be insane, so Daggz is a massive recommend from me. Effin is another that I'm really interested to kind of see just how his sound plays out over a sound system, which tracks of his he is going to play live. Again, we've got a situation here where he's got quite a few that have taken him to the high position that he's in right now. So yeah, just interested which tracks of his he's going to play, what his just how his set is going to pan out. Following on from there, going to be shouting out Enigma Dubs, who is one of my favourites when it comes to the 140 dubstep, OG dubstep crossover and the modern kind of replicas of that style. Yeah, he's fantastic. Had one of my albums of last year, Awakening, if you will remember, if you watched that video, albums of the year from 2022. Got quite an ethereal sound when he wants it to be as well, so going to be a good mix of quite dark and evil energy and then stuff that's a bit more high lifting, if you will, and I think he will be very well placed in the Asteroid stage as well. Someone who I think is going to be quite a differential over the course of this festival, so maybe not drawing a massive crowd, not having that many people there, but is really going to deliver with a huge kind of sound, would be Frosttop. Yeah, really going to go in with that new age trap style, I think, and I just imagine it's going to be quite booming, quite large, quite gargantuan in terms of the delivery of the set in a live environment. I can just imagine his set will sound very good in a live environment, provide a bit of difference from what else we're getting at the festival. Quite quite a huge set from Frostop, even with it potentially being earlier in the day. I am looking forward to that one. Next up, Hamdi. I mean, what more needs being said, to be honest? One of the most famous artists, one of the most renowned and celebrated artists in bass music at the moment. Following Skanker, we've now got Selector. It's just anthem upon anthem, massive artists like Skrillex and everyone else just playing out his music. I imagine Selector, maybe another idea of his that's coming out soon, might be just the kind of anthem with Skanker of this festival that's just being played by everyone in everyone's set, basically. Going to provide a bit of contrast and difference here and there, with it not being the meat of the festival, you know, beyond the heavy bois 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 quarter note stuff, if you will. So yeah, that will be a good one. Massive recommend. Then I'm going to be recommending Hugh K. Absolutely one of the best in the underground. Again, kind of like a few I've mentioned before here. Guy's worked extremely hard, finally been able to quit his job and do this full time, and this will be kind of a big announcement for him, a big announcement of him and his style, his sound, his music, etc. And I just know that he's going to put on a very fun, colourful, bubbly, quirky and interesting dubstep set, again, where there might be quite a lot of quarter note, incessant, you know, bois bois bois, heavy, saturated, clipping kind of sound. I think Hugh K will come through with quite a lot of quirkiness and colour and just fun bounciness with that style, just stuff to keep it interesting and kind of offbeat and off kilter, if you will. He always delivers that, and hearing a full set of that, or a set mostly of that, is going to be quite the listen. So yeah, Hugh K, massive recommend. Probably top 3 or 5 if I'm being honest. Ivory for sure, Lost Lands debut, I think, which is quite mad given how long he's been around by this point. 8 years, 7-8 years, and the amount of tracks that he's got with that, both dubstep and D&B. Become like a relative legend, I think. You know, he was responsible for really bringing Disciple Round Table in with 93 Style. That was probably the biggest track on their first compilation. Became a bit of a big name on Never Say Die, and then kind of branched out into Monster Cat, etc. So he's become a huge artist, a very renowned and celebrated artist, and this is a great way, I think, of capping that off. Following that, I did mention him earlier, but here next up we have Liney, who did have one of my favourite sets of last year. Incredible sound. It was within that Asteroid stage. I think it would be great if he did that again, but kind of wanting him to level up a bit here and go to a different stage, just to have his sound kind of cascade over a wider group of people and have it be more kind of open air. That would be sick. But yeah, he was so good last year. The crispness and the definition, the refined appeal of the sound, it just works so perfectly with his tracks, with his mixing as well. You know, there's a lot of charm again about his music and the way he ties together all these tracks. Tells a story, gives it a load of personality. Yeah, I was just a massive fan of that set. It was definitely in my top 3 or 4 of that whole weekend last year, so massive recommend. A great blend of trap and hybrid trap and dubstep and everything you can find within that. So Liney, massive recommend. Next up, we're going to be talking about Mount Eden coming through with a D&B set as well. Very excited for that. I mean, they've got all the dubstep classics we all know about, Sierra Leone, etc. How energetic and lively and captivating that set's going to be. Different kinds of D&B and whatnot. How much of the ethereal, dreamy, heavenly charm is going to weave into that as well, or whether it's just going to be a bit more savage, a bit more biting over the course of the hour that they get. But yeah, that will be a big recommend. Maybe hopefully they do a couple of D&B remixes of their dubstep classics. That would be awesome. Following that, and right next to Mount Eden, just gonna go for Muerte, just because it's probably gonna be one of, if not the heaviest set of the entire weekend. I mean, we all know what he's like. Pure, monstrous, filthy dubstep sound just thwacking you in the face repeatedly over and over. A whole hour of that, you might think, oh, might be a bit much, might just be a little bit too overwhelming, but genuinely, he mashes it all together really well, very effectively. It's very compact, very to the point with the heaviness. What an artist, and very much looking forward to that one as well. I'm going to be completely bowled over. Night Punk is also a must in my opinion. Just very much looking forward to see how his debut album Human plays out over the course of a set. I mean, it's probably what he did last year at Lost Lands, but at that point I didn't know that an album was coming out, so I was like, oh, these are all really good songs, these all sound like his style, it sounds like a 100% original set kind of thing. That'll be mad energy again, huge crowd, and that'll be a fantastic set for sure. Moving down for the final few into the last couple of lines, and first up, Sully for me again is a must. That will have a lot of variety, that set. And again, it will probably be a thing of just relaying and showing his debut album, which should come out before this festival happens. He has one of my favourite styles of the last few years, very wob-fueled, very colourful, lots of fantastic vocal samples, and yeah, just very curious, very interested, and wondering as to how many different styles he is going to lob in. After that, going to shout out the boy Super Av. Again, I think this is going to constitute as a bit of a differential, kind of like Frost Top, you know. If you have a given day where you just, like I've heard, too much rhythm, too much dubstep, too much D&B, whatever, Super Av will come through with a good dose of West Coast bass, just marrying the filth and the movement, the flow of dubstep with a different flow and the bounciness of hip hop. So it kind of melds in this really cool way, got a lot of bounce to it, really fun, really energetic, and I think it's just going to be a really cool set where hearing that over the course of a whole set just won't get tiring or boring at any point, because it will be so different to everything else that is happening again over the course of the festival. So yeah, Super Av, a massive one to look out for, providing something notably different. And yeah, if you're going, you should definitely check that one out. And ultimately going to be circling Teddy Killers here, and yeah, just in the same way that I want to be basically knocked out cold and blown away by Muerte with the heaviness of that, I want the D&B equivalent, and that will be Teddy Killers with that grungy, meaty, just thick, completely invasive and overwhelmingly heavy sound. That is absolutely what we're going to get from them. Beyond the euphoria of a Netsky or a Subfocus and people like that, just something a bit grungier, again, just something a bit more metal driven and infused that is really just going to knock my socks off and leave me gasping for breath at the end of it, and that is absolutely what we are going to get with them. And finally, on my list for people that you absolutely must watch if you go into Lost Lands this year, I can look no further than Temanite, who is making his debut at the festival. What a moment this is going to be for him. Really curious as well, again, as to whether there's going to be, you know, instruments involved here, whether it's just going to be a mix, whether he's going to wear the pirate costume or just be himself. I imagine he is going to go, you know, going to go full tilt, going to go full pelt with everything that comes with his brand basically at the moment, just to kind of show where he's at with his music at the moment, which is very much going for that pirate brand. And yeah, lobbing in the instrumentation. Why not whip out the saxophone, the guitar, piano here and there, keyboard, etc. You know, he really gets involved with all that kind of stuff. It's going to be quite the set. Again, a little bit of a differential, you know, still very heavy dubstep, but loads more colour, loads more melody, and all those little extra bits performance-wise that will just elevate and enhance what he's doing above quite a lot of other stuff I imagine that we are going to get here. So yeah, Temanite, absolute must-watch in my opinion for his Lost Lands debut. But there you go, guys, there you have it, a big old group, a tranche, if you will, of must-watch in my opinion Lost Lands artists for the 2023 festival. If you're going, definitely recommend checking all of these out if you can, or as many of them as you can. They're all going to be providing something a little bit different, whether it's musically or through their own story, the visuals, etc. They've all got something pretty exciting about them within the context of the lineup overall. And if you're not able to go but kind of considering it, then I hope I've sold it to you with these recommendations right here. So regardless, it's going to be a fantastic festival. I mean, even if you're watching on Couchlands and stuff like that whilst the festival is happening online, then yeah, these are all going to be well worth your time in my opinion. Beyond that, hope you enjoyed the video and these recommendations, and also hope to see any of you there who are going. Going to be a sick time and planning all my travel and stuff like that right now. So yeah, it's all very exciting. All these announcements are just going to be happening more and more as we get closer and closer towards the summer and all the big music starts coming out in preparation for all these festivals. These few months in the year, always hype driven and fueled. But yeah, big ups to all of you. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you all in the next one, whatever that might be. Peace.